morning, Connor. How where are you at right now?
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. What about you
Oh,
guys?
okay. I'm in Vegas right now.
I'm in Tampa. Are you a Jacksonville native?
No, I'm a South Florida native.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So
okay.
you're still a
Yeah.
Floridian at heart.
Are we?
so
Are
there
we?
you go.
Is everyone here a Floridian?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Hell yeah. The Florida
Yeah.
pod.
The best state, sort of.
Yeah,
I
man.
guess.
Kind of, I guess. We have to claim it just because it's like the
It is
rule.
quite the state, however you look at it. You know.
We think it's the best, but that's not
Yeah.
the general consensus.
No one else.
No.
Every time you talk to somebody, especially on tour, people are like, "I hate Florida," and you're just like, "Why?"
Yeah. And you're like, why? But you kind of know why.
Yeah, you kind of
Yeah.
know why. You're like a
You're
little
like, oh,
bit.
dude, no, it's the best. You're like, all right, whatever. Fair enough.
Where in South Florida are you from?
West Boca,
Okay,
Got it.
awesome.
like 30 minutes north of Lauderdale.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cool.
very
Oh, yeah.
nice.
When did you move to Jacksonville?
I've been here for like 2.5 years.
Okay.
Just too expensive down south. So
Yeah.
Well,
It
you
is.
also
True.
you were in Nashville before that, or we were in Nashville before that, but
yeah, I was in Nashville for a few years. Tried to go back down to South Florida and just couldn't afford it. So came up here, and it's great. It's like it's kind of not the same. You know how Florida has like almost like 3 or 4 different versions of itself.
It's
Yeah.
so true. 100%.
Like up here, it's like
Jacksonville's a weird mix of that too. I feel like.
it is because there's like definitely like I'm over by the beach, which is like pretty Florida feeling, but there's other areas that are like I feel like I'm in Georgia or like back in Tennessee or something.
yeah.
100%.
Which is not like that where I'm from.
No,
Yeah.
You have some people from the Panhandle who kind of like creep over to Jacksonville. You got people from like the center of the state going up there, and South Florida in your case. So it's a weird like melting pot of Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it Limp Bizkit's from Jacksonville? Aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah.
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 You know, he's like, John Otto, take him to the Matthews Bridge. I drive over the Matthews Bridge like once a week. And I always think about it.
That's so sick.
Do you play it every time? Just
The first year living here, I definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Hell yeah. We got a good amount of Florida ones. Didn't we talk about that already? Just trying to think about like the famous bands or artists from Florida. And there's a lot more than you like realize, like Tom Petty and like Leonard Skinner. Like there's a good amount of Florida.
Yeah.
Like, was Leonard Skinner Florida? I don't
Yeah,
know why.
they're from
Jacksonville.
here. They're from Jacksonville.
Yeah, they are
They're
from-
straight up
Oh.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Allman Brothers Band,
Yeah.
Creed.
Yeah, Petty.
Creed.
Oh, Creed. Yeah. Boy
Dude,
bands,
listen.
Backstreet Boys, and did NSYNC form in Florida? I know Backstreet
Yeah.
Boys did.
Listen, world, you're welcome. You're welcome for all the.
Florida's fun's the greatest culture.
I actually
Dude,
believe that.
The mecca of
Oh,
boy
yeah.
bands, Orlando. It's also
It
crazy.
really is.
It really is. That there was that documentary. You guys see that?
I did. Well, I was
Yeah.
going to ask the same thing.
Pretty
The one
What
on-
documentary?
with that much. It's about the guy that like started like all that.
Luke Pearlman.
Yeah,
yeah,
Luke
yeah,
Pullman.
yeah.
It's
It's pretty dark.
It's pretty dark.
Wow.
If you think about it, like such like a bubbly like thing, like music wise, and then all of a sudden it's just like this like
It's usually how that
just
works.
dark
Scary
guy.
person behind it.
Yeah, super.
is it about?
Super,
Lou Pearlman, he is the guy responsible for creating boy bands. So it started with Backstreet Boys. He had the idea to create this. I think it was on the, I don't know, I guess New Kids on the Block technically was the first boy band, but it was looking at the success of New Kids on the Block and trying to replicate that out of Florida where he lived. And so he created the Backstreet Boys and also NSYNC and obviously rode that wave for quite some time, but he turned out to be very manipulative and was doing all sorts of weird, shady business stuff, money laundering, blah, blah, blah. It was pretty sketchy. So he ended up going to prison and lived the rest of his life there. But it's a crazy story.
Pretty
yeah,
surprising.
super chill watch.
Pretty surprising that the guy who had the idea for boy bands turned out not to be a great dude.
Yeah, like when you look at photos of him and videos, it's like, how did no one see this coming?
Yeah,
like,
it's, seriously.
I feel like I've thought about that where anytime there's something like that, you like hear a story about something, you go back and look at your photos like, oh yeah, what a creep. I feel like anyone would look that way, right? Like I recently thought about that. If someone saw like some old picture of me, like that dude's a serial killer for sure, or whatever, like some weird
Yeah.
it's just like you instantly think that once you hear the thing, like, oh my God, look at him. He's such a
The
creep.
most recent example of that for me is Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, the whole like FTX collapse and Bitcoin and everything else. Everyone's like, how could this be? I was like, that guy was a psycho. Like he clearly, he could barely even like conduct himself at like like a normal level as a person. And it turned out, oh yeah, he squandered all these millions of dollars, or billions, I should say. Anyway, yeah. On that note, Connor,
how did we get here? I don't even know.
Florida to sketchy people,
to boy bands to crypto.
We haven't even announced that he's on, or we said Itty welcome. We're just like launched into all this shit.
No one knows. It's just a conversation right now.
Yeah.
So we have Connor from Beartooth, a drummer extraordinaire. You crush the drums. Like we have to start with that. But
thank you guys.
How did you get so good at playing drums?
Tell us your secrets.
Tell us your secrets.
We just want a free lesson real quick, dude.
Yeah. I was just born in Florida, and that's the end of it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
No, just I played so much growing up. Like when I started playing drums, it kind of took over my life, and it kind of became the only thing I wanted to do. And yeah, that's really all I did, and just played in bands. And we had a great local scene in South Florida, like a lot of hardcore bands and stuff like that. So there were just shows every weekend, and I feel like that's kind of like the key, right, to like getting better as a player, is like playing with other people and playing shows.
100%.
Yeah.
And
and like I just feel like I was really lucky to come up in a place where there was such a thriving local scene. Unfortunately, it's kind of dead now, but at the time,
is that what it was for you starting out? You were in a community going to shows before you started playing, and then you just got the bug to actually pick up and play drums?
Well, I started playing. This is hilarious, actually. I started playing because of the Nick Cannon movie Drumline.
Hell yes.
So my dad like wanted my brothers and I to like pick some kind of hobby, and I loved that movie, and I was watching it when my dad was like lecturing us about this, and I was like, well, can I just do drums? And I just wanted a snare drum, but I didn't know it was called that. But I was like, I just want the one drum that has like the things on the bottom. So he got me a snare drum, and I started messing around with that. And then I started taking lessons with just the snare drum. But my dad was like, if you get into it, I'll buy you a kit. So I got into it.
Same story. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then pretty quickly, like probably maybe 3 years after I got a kit, I started a band with my brother. But before him and I started that band, I kind of discovered that there was like a local scene. And like, I remember going to a show and like seeing other kids who are like, felt like my equals, on the stage playing. And I was like, oh, you can
You're like, I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I thought like to be on stage and play, you had to like be in a large band. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't know that. Yeah. So
dude,
that's important.
Yeah, wait, so what was the name of the band that you were in South Florida before, I guess, Beartooth and all that stuff?
Sleep Patterns.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Me and my brother.
Did you bounce around a lot? How many bands were you in, like in South Florida before, like, you started touring and stuff like that?
Well, we started that band, and that was the main band that I was in at that time. But then as we started playing shows and like kind of meeting everybody in the scene, I feel like I kind of became the designated like fill-in guy / like, you know how it is when you're in like local bands and stuff, like someone's in the band for a month and then they're not anymore. You know,
it's so true.
Then they decided that instrument just isn't for them anymore. So
yeah. That's so
I
sick.
feel like eventually, like maybe after a year or so, like anytime a spot opened up in a band or someone needed a fill in or something, I kind of was getting asked to do that a lot. So I was probably played with like 5 or 6 different bands in like the local scene before touring. But the band that my brother and I were in, Sleep Patterns, that was like my first experience touring, and like that was the only band that I really spent a lot of time playing with and stuff.
That's cool.
That's
How
cool.
did you
Yeah.
get hooked up with Beartooth? Like, how did that all come about?
So the band that my brother and I were in started touring, just like booking our own tours by posting on Facebook and shit. And through that, we just met so many people, and we met these guys from San Diego that were the band Being as an Ocean, and they were like just getting started. And a couple years later, or like maybe not even a year later, we saw that they were like touring overseas, and they were, playing to a few hundred people. And we were like, what the fuck? These guys were a local band. These guys were the same thing as us like a year ago when we met. What the hell happened? And then their drummer quit, and they called me. I started playing for them, and I did a Warped Tour with them, and we were on the same stage as Beartooth, and that's how I met these guys. Yeah.
What year was that? Because Amberlin did Warped Tour 2014, and y'all were on the same stage as us, and I watched y'all like every day. But I don't know, were you with it? Yeah. Were you with it then?
That wouldn't have been me yet. So
damn.
I did Warped Tour in 2015 with Being as an Ocean. And that's where I met. Yeah.
That was
and that's
the band
where I
was
met
thinking
them.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We literally, Beartooth and Amberlin, we would always play so close. So we would already be at the stage. And I think I watched it like every day for like a whole summer. But that, I guess that makes sense that it wasn't you. I just looking back on it all, but it's cool.
Yeah.
So what year did you actually start playing for Beartooth?
Yeah, 2016. So I met them in 2015, and me and Caleb, the singer, I mean, it's his thing. Like he is the band, and him and I became close on that Warped Tour because he plays drums as well. So we were kind of just showing each other stuff and hanging out and geeking out about drums every day. And then I ended up quitting Being as an Ocean like right after that tour. And so then I was home for like 3-4 months trying to figure out if I was ever going to tour again. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of like wasn't sure, like, oh, maybe that was it. Maybe I had a little 2-year cool experience that I can talk about 20 years from now.
Wow.
That's it. You know what I mean?
Dude,
I didn't know.
crazy to think about that. Just, it was like before the start. It's like, that's what's so weird about all of it, this life and stuff.
I have a similar experience in that regard. Yeah.
It's really, it's an interesting thing because it's like, how do you know? Like, I don't think any of us really know that you're gonna end up doing it for. I mean, I'm like, I guess 12 years in now. It's
awesome,
right? How do you don't really know until you get to that point where you're like, after a decade, you're like, okay, I guess I do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
but then there is that thing of like, even a decade in, you're like, this could be gone tomorrow, maybe, or you never know. It's like it's a weird business. It's a weird job too. But
yeah, it is. Yeah.
I was so with Beartooth and the dynamic there. The singer writing or being most of the band, I was going to ask because I used to play in the band Say Anything, and their singer Max Bemis, he would write all the demos, and there would be cases where I did record the drums. But I want to get your take on that experience because I love Max, but he has a pretty insane mind creatively, especially when it comes to writing drum parts. And there would be parts he would think up, and I would just throw my hands up and basically look at him and say, how the hell am I supposed to play this? But have you recorded on any of Beartooth stuff? And if so, like, what's that dynamic like?
So I haven't recorded on any of it. That's all Caleb. So, I mean, it's obviously an interesting dynamic because, of course, we all want to be playing as much, we want to be as a part of something like that as we can be. But the thing with Beartooth is like Caleb's always been really clear about how it works and how he wants it to function and everything. So like literally the first phone call we had, I remember him saying to me, and I knew, I had done my research, so I knew what the situation was. But the first phone call we ever had, he was like, I really want you to play for this band, but I also want you to know that like you're just going to be playing live, and I want you to be able to do your own thing live, and I want you to inject your personality into it, but you're not going to write on the songs and you're not going to record. I don't plan on changing the way this band functions. It's always going to be me playing drums on the records. And like, basically, I just want to make sure you're cool with that. Cause if not, maybe we just kind of shouldn't do this.
That's good. He was clear up front about it.
That's the thing,
cool,
man.
That's good. Clarity, man.
That's it, man. Communication. It's like, it's hard to really feel any type of way about it when you've always known what it was up front. And yeah. And it's funny too, because it's like when you're younger, of course, maybe you're more sensitive to certain things and you're like, I want to play on this. But when you get older and and I don't want to like act like it's just our job, but you get older and that does become a factor in it.
100%.
And it's like,
100%.
Yeah. So you start to, at least I started to get to the point where it was like, well, dude, this is an awesome situation. I love playing with these guys. I love that he lets me do my thing live. And I feel like it's a good like musical chemistry between him and I.
That's awesome.
Because he does actually play the drums. So the drum parts on the records aren't the classic like guitar player thinks you have 5 hands.
He can actually play drums. He
definitely makes a big difference.
Not to say that our counterparts and bands can't write a drum part,
they
but
can't. They're not that good at it.
They usually can.
Connor, I was going to ask you. So, how much liberty are you taking live as compared to like? I mean, I know you're not like. I know you as a player. I know that you like. You're a musical drummer. So like, like how much are you actually like? Did you say a lot or did you?
He said a lot.
Yeah.
He said a lot, which is sick.
Yeah. He gives me a lot of freedom there. And like I said, I think, I don't know if it's because I started playing with them when I was young enough that like him and I kind of influenced each other a little bit. So that now that I've been in this band for 9 years. So now through 9 years, I think we've influenced each other enough that it's like, the shit that he writes.
That's awesome. It almost sounds like what you would play.
Sometimes it does. Like I'll hear something and I'm like, I know he heard me play that chop at sound check. And
and
vice versa. It's like
you're like, check.
It's like I spend so much time playing his songs that sometimes I'm playing just on my own time, and I'm like, it sounds like something Caleb would play.
So oh, nice.
That's cool.
That's sick. Dang, that's cool.
I know it's crazy. You basically like, and you guys are like playing gigantic rooms. Was the last tour an arena tour?
No, we did. The last tour we did was in Europe, and some of them, like the Germany shows and stuff, were smaller arenas. But we just did a one-off in January in Columbus, Ohio, which is where the band's from. And that was an arena show, that was like our first proper arena headlining show here in the States. So it was cool.
That's so sick.
When I first started playing in the band, it felt very much a part of the like metalcore Warped Tour scene. And then in the last 4 to 5 years, it's felt like kind of pulling away from that, not intentionally, but just I think it's just kind of happened that way, and it's become more like some radio rock kind of audience and some kind of reaching out of that super alternative culture a little bit.
No, I was just saying, like, similar to Ben, it was just like even doing the Warped Tour and seeing them on that spot, and then just like, I can't remember what the year was, but then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, Beartooth's massive. Like, it was like such a great, not to be like, oh, we're not in that scene, but like we broke up, and so like, wasn't really involved in the scene as much at all. So then it was just such a cool thing to be like, oh my God, like same thing. Like I was like, same band, holy shit. Like the progression, everything that y'all done, I think it's really cool to see like how far it's come and seeing where you're playing now and just, I saw like wasn't there like a collab with some like big country dude? Was it like who was it with?
Hardy.
Hardy, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I was
yeah.
just like, dude,
Oh
like,
yeah.
and I always think it's cool, like you said, like not that everyone's trying to get out of the like Warped Tour scene, but that's a tough thing to do to like kind of branch out. There's only a handful of bands that have been able to like progress past a certain thing, and I've always thought it was cool when bands can do that. And I feel like Beartooth is one of those where I'm like, oh shit, they're no longer just thrown in that same pot of bands that are just like only tour with the same bands, only do the same thing, like seeing it branch out and like even reach as far as like country, which is like the biggest thing ever right now. So I just think it's cool, man. It's really cool.
Well, and also pyro
thanks,
too.
dude.
Once you have pyro, that's
you
a
can't
good
go
sign.
back.
That's a
Pyro.
great sign.
I was going to ask about what it's like playing with pyro.
It's pretty
Is
crazy,
it near
man.
you and your kit?
It's close. Yeah, it's really close.
Close.
Yeah. It's okay. So I actually have a funny story about this. It's something that happened recently. So the first time we did pyro was in 2016. So this thing about like the show that we did in Columbus in January, the arena show, I feel like that kind of started a few years ago where the band kind of purposefully leaves Columbus off of tours so that we can do like kind of a special thing. Yeah.
Cool.
And so anyway, we did pyro at a show in 2016 in Columbus, and it felt like a crazy thing, and then it kind of started like, all right, when we do the European festivals, we have it at every festival, and okay, now it's almost at every headline show. And so now it's like way more frequent. So I don't really think about it as much. But we did Rock am Ring in Germany this past June, and they're just different. You guys know, it's just different over there.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So the guy that we had doing the pyro, like, you could look at him. It's kind of like what you guys were saying before about looking at
you knew he only did fire.
You're just like,
There's
this
no
guy was
other
put on the earth for
profession
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
so
okay,
sick.
this is going to be like, you could just tell it was going to be different. Like based on the setup and everything, it was like, all right. And then because it was Rock am Ring, like, Caleb he's out of his mind sometimes, man. Like he was like, well, we're putting as much pyro on the stage that can fit on the stage. Like so we're playing. There's a clip of this, dude, because it was like, it's one of those festivals where they have like the screens up, so there's like different cameras and stuff, and we have the footage from it. There's a clip where we finish playing a song and you just see me go, because the fire was so fucking hot. Like,
Did it like send your face?
Dude, it was we walk off for a song where Caleb plays an acoustic song, and I see our guitar player, and he goes, what the fuck? He goes, the pyro burned all my arm hair off.
I was gonna say, you didn't have a beard?
Oh man,
it was so hot.
So you're smelling human hair singed off. That's a very specific smell.
Yes, it is. So we discovered because it's the Rock am Ring there's Rock am Ring and Rock am Park. So after the first one, we had to tell a guy like, what the hell happened? Like, and I guess there was I think there was too much of the fluid coming out. So I was getting wet too. Like the fire would stop, like a song would end and the fire would stop firing off.
Still
like, why do I have like liquid hitting my body, and then I smell it, and it's like basically lighter fluid,
man.
The gas.
And I told the guy, and he's like, oh, it's spitting on you, and I'm like, oh, so this is just like a thing that happened.
Like, this happens to him every festival, dude. He knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah, he's like, what are you talking about? What are you complaining about?
I don't know what you mean, dude. No.
Dude, he was probably so pumped when Caleb said, just go crazy. He was like, I got you.
Also, when you first met the guy, you probably were like, this could go either way.
Dude, I picture some dude with like the cartoon like TNT things, like he's on the side, just like
I picture a guy missing an arm. I picture like he's like he has one arm,
Yeah, he has a
what is it? It's like Danny McBride's character in
Thunder.
Picturing that.
I was picturing.
Yeah. A mullet.
He yells like Titty City before.
Something like that. Yeah, he's like.
Great. Oh. If we go back to the beginning, Connor, I did want to ask something because I saw that you had gotten lessons at one point from our friend Aaron Gillespie, and I wanted just to ask how that all came about firstly, and it's probably pretty funny to look back on it now, and obviously we all know each other and we're peers in the scene, but I always thought that was an interesting tidbit if you wouldn't mind talking about it.
Yeah, of course. It is funny now. We've toured together a couple times, and it's still strange because it's like the way you meet someone, the relationship you have when you meet someone kind of always sticks with you. So it's like, it's hard for me to kind of get out of that thing of like, oh man, I remember when driving up to play drums with this guy was like literally the craziest experience in my life at that point, you know?
At that point, dude, it's crazy.
So basically, he right around the time that he quit Under Oath in like 2010, I want to say it was.
Oh yeah.
He was offering drum lessons at a local shop in, I think it was in Tampa,
Brandon,
maybe
right?
Clearwater, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere on the West Coast of Florida, and I mentioned it to my dad, like, oh, this is so cool that Aaron's doing lessons, whatever, but they were all sold out. And then one day I'm sitting in school, and my dad texts me and is like, you know, this Friday, you're not going to school. We're driving up to Tampa, and you're getting a lesson with Aaron.
Oh, that's
so sick.
And I'm like, I don't really know what if he called and just maybe someone canceled. I don't know.
He probably threatened him.
Yeah, he's like, look, you're going to teach my son or else.
It's possible. But yeah, so I went up and had this lesson with Aaron, and
was it just one?
So I did one, and I ended up doing several, but this part's kind of strange for me to talk about, but I do feel like it's a cool part of the story. We got in the car after the lesson, and my dad only told me this like years and years later, because I don't really remember. I was 13, you know, but we got in the car after the lesson, and my dad's like, why didn't you tell me that? Like, why didn't you tell me that you were good at, like, why didn't you tell me that you were like so good at drums? And I was like, what do you mean? And what had happened is during the lesson, Aaron ended it early. He was like, yeah, I need to go talk to your dad. And he ended the lesson like 5 minutes early. And they were like, he told me, just go look around the drum shop, whatever. And he's talking to my dad like pretty intensely. And apparently he told my dad, like, hey, your kid is going to play drums. Like, that's what he's going to do. Don't get in his way. Let him, which like my dad is already like the most supportive.
Dude, your dad rips.
Oh, that's so sick.
Ben knows my dad. Yeah.
Your dad's
he's the best, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess he told my dad, like, let him play as much as he wants. Like, this is what he's going to do for a living, which is fucking crazy looking back. Like, even at yeah, man. Cause even when my dad told me that maybe a few years later, when I was 15 or 16, you know, I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know, whatever. But now that I've been doing it for over a decade, it's kind of like, man, it's weird. And I'll tell you what, like, he taught me, obviously we've all toured and played, like, we all know this kind of thing. Like, he taught me stuff that is so valuable that to actually being a working drummer, that like the local drum shop teacher wouldn't know.
Sure. Yeah, if they don't have that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So those lessons, man, I can't overstate like how important they were. I don't think I'd be doing this if it weren't for those lessons.
Dude, that's awesome.
You know,
that's really
cool.
How does it feel to surpass all of us in drawing now?
Just the next question. He's like, yeah.
If all of us got in a room together, which I actually have been in a room playing with Connor. We used to play in a basement in Nashville at our friend's house, and there'd be like 4 drum kits set up. It's just funny. Sometimes you'd be like, you'd just stop playing, and you'd be like, whoa, you know, like.
Well, admittedly, so I Connor, we've never met, and I started looking up videos and seeing you play, and I just wasn't as familiar. And man, you were very good at drums.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I mean, but it's a testament to what you were saying earlier, where like, you know, you I mean, you put the time in, dude. I've played a lot of drums, and I think I don't know. I think we all have our own stories. It's the same thing with like me, dude. I mean, I grew up, I would play drums. I'd get home from school. I'd play drums for like 4 hours every day. Just like, you know what I mean? Just nonstop. And like, I do a lot of just my personal playing it stems from that. It stems from just putting the time in and like, for, shedding, I guess if you want to call it. But,
do you still have that fire in you? Like when you're not touring, are you actively practicing?
Yeah, I'm kind of searching for it right now, to be honest. Because
you lose it after a while.
Yeah,
going through the motions.
I never thought that I would, and then I kind of did. I'm not going to say I completely did.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, I'm a very like competitive person, and not with the drums, I'm not that way with other people, but I am like almost with myself. Like if I sit down and like I get really fired up about like if I sit down and can't do something that I used to do or can't do it as easily, I lose sleep over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Damn.
So
that's cool. You still have that. That's sick.
Yeah. Recently I've been really putting in a lot of time. Recently being like the last year and a half, because before that, it's like life just has other things in it. Like Ben, you were saying, you come home from school and play for 4 hours. It's like at that stage in life, what else is there? You know what I mean?
You can't do that anymore.
We got no responsibilities. All I have is drums.
Yeah. Now it's like last night we had a thunderstorm here and there's water coming through my fireplace. I'm like, I have to deal with that today. I feel like
100%.
It's like I have to deal with that today.
Yeah, you can play drums for 4 hours and just let life fall apart.
Exactly. So, and obviously that's one funny example, but it's like, it's just shit every day that you have other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But
especially when you're on tour as much as you are, and then you come home and it's like, you got to take care of all the home stuff. It's just always something for sure.
Yeah. You know what's changed for me, and I'm curious your guys' take on this, is like, I used to love playing by myself. And now I have a hard time playing by myself.
Dude,
like,
100%.
It's boring.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, it's boring.
It's hard, man. Like I can't just put on.
I can't remember the last time I've done it.
Yeah, I was telling these guys.
Crazy. Like I don't even know if I would like it or not, because like I would never have the chance ever. I don't have the drum set up in my house. Like, and we talked about this like in an early one. Even if I am by myself, it's for a reason. Like I'm playing for another band and I'm going to practice those songs. You know what I mean? It's never just like I'm going to get on the drums and just play for fun. You know what I mean?
You're also
last time I've ever done.
You're listening to something. Like I'll play along and stuff again. Like that's when when I was younger, I used to do that, and like I've been doing that lately again. Like, I'll put like a song on and I'll just like play along to it. But like what you're saying, like just sitting down and playing drums with nothing else going on, is so weird. I just can't do it. It's too weird.
Even just like playing along to a record you like or something. Like I used to be able to do that for like 2 hours straight and have like the time of my life. And now I just get bored and I just get distracted, and I don't know. It's like I have to have a reason. Like kind of like you were saying, Nate. It's like I'm either learning a song I need to learn, or I'm maybe recording something for somebody, or the other bullet point that I'm trying to add to that list is, well, you can practice. Like you can still go in there and like actively try and work on something. Because it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm just coming in here just playing for no reason. It's like, no, you can choose something that maybe you're not great at. Like for me, it's double pedal stuff. I'm not a double pedal player by nature, and I have to do it in this band. And so it's like, when I play on my own time, I just wind up not touching the double pedal just because it's just not
it's not what you naturally go to.
So I have to go out of my way to do it,
Yeah. I mean, you're a well-rounded drummer. You're not, I mean, you play in technically a metal band, but you're not like, you can play tons of other stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and the majority of stuff that I've seen you play is not that, like the stuff
exactly.
I've like followed. I'm like, dude, holy shit, like that groove or whatever. You would never be like, oh, it's what you play in Beartooth or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's always cool to me when you can see that with drummers. You know what I mean? Like you clearly play a certain style. But then watching you play the other stuff, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I think that's super rare personally. Like,
Yeah.
not to just sit here and be like, oh, dude, you're so good. But I do feel like usually drummers in that scene don't have the feel and grooves that you have at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, this is what I play. This is how I play it. And this is the only kind of style that I want to play. But then seeing your other stuff, I'm like, that seems like so do you get to like, do you do a lot of session stuff? Do you get to play in other stuff that like kind of satisfies that side of you? You know what I mean? As a drummer?
Yeah, I try to, really what satisfies me the most, honestly, is like just jamming and improvising. That's like my favorite way to play is to, and that's another thing that is great about, the chemistry that Caleb and I have is he loves that. He likes there's points in the show where he just randomly decides he wants me to fill for 8 straight bars, and he'll turn around and
that's
point
so
at me
terrifying.
and tell me,
dude, that's like my nightmare.
But like,
yeah, you thrive on that, but I would literally,
dude, I'd be like, fuck no, dude.
Like, I'd be really, I think I'd be really upset on a gig if I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It keeps it fresh for you. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the competitive side with yourself.
Yeah.
Though. You're like, I can do this. I can.
And there's a lot of times that I don't nail it. And I love that part of it too, because I'm not shy.
Cool.
I don't care about fucking up. I mean, of course I care. I don't want to play a bad show, but it's really hard to play an actual bad show. I'll just ruin a section of a drum solo over.
What do you mean, like mess up though? Like what is your idea of a mess up? Yeah.
Me is like throwing up my hands and just getting up. Like I'll leave the drum kit.
My version of messing up is going to play a fill not knowing what I'm gonna play, and then it just doesn't turn out well. So like a part will be coming up, and I'm like, I wonder if I could do this here, and then I go to do it and go, you can't.
Nope.
That's the only way.
Yeah, sure.
But that's the only way to find out. You know what I mean? Is just to do it. So but then he'll look back at me and laugh, and I love that too. Like, and I love that he's down for that, because for me, it's like, if you got to be willing to try it up there. I don't want to try it in here and find out if I could do it, and then know that I
respect you for doing that. I
want to be in the middle of a song and go.
Well, it's a different situation too, though. Yeah, but like, it's like being on stage is different than being in your bedroom playing the same part. Being on stage is a completely different energy. It's insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you're feeling it, then you'll nail it way better.
Yeah.
Like if you're just having a show, we're like, dude, hell yeah. Because if you're practicing it and you're just like, all right, I got to think about this part, but in a set, you can just feel if you're almost like you can tell if you're going to do it beforehand. You know what I mean? Based on the songs you've just played up until that point, I'm like, all right, tonight I'm ripping. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm going to try the thing that I know I can nail,
Yeah, there's definitely nights where I'm like, yeah, don't try that one tonight. Like,
tonight's not the night. Tonight's not the night.
Yeah.
I have
you get well.
That was me last night, to be honest.
Dude, we had a show like maybe a month and a half ago, and the song we open with starts with this pain in the ass groove. I mean, it's just a pain in the ass to play, dude. It's just not easy. It's like I have to like cross over, like, there's like these little intricate hi-hat parts and stuff, and it's literally the first thing I play in the show. Anyway, at least you get it out of the way, though. Yeah, sometimes it feels that way. But we were playing the show, and like literally the second snare hit in that groove, I just like missed. Like, when you just like, I don't know if I hit my other stick or if I like, it was just like I just hit the rim. But the snare gate didn't open, whatever it was.
Yeah, perfect.
And blame it on the gate, dude. Blame it on the gate.
Yeah.
When in doubt, dude, my gate was so quiet today. Wasn't because my legs was tired. And then you just chew the sound guy out, dude. Lessen the gate, dude.
And he's like, you hear that? I heard that spot where you didn't hit the snare drum. You're like, that was your fault, dude. That was not mine.
Well, I actually wanted to know if he heard it. And our front of house guy's awesome. He's very blunt. And he was in the green room backstage after, and he was like talking about the show and whatever and how it sounded. And our guitar player was like kind of ruminating over like a sour note that he hit in a solo. And I was like, I was fucking with him and I was like, yeah, we all heard it, man, you know? And then our front of house guy goes, yeah, it wasn't as bad as Connor missing the second snare hit of the show. And I was like, fuck.
Damn.
I was like, did you hear that he goes, oh yeah, I heard it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, but then you're like, but I did that on purpose, dude. Don't.
It's like, that was cool, right?
Dude, I was improvising. That was cool, right? I was leaving
trying
out
something
the
new
2
there.
and 4.
Like, what'd you guys think?
What do you guys think?
It's jazz, baby. It's jazz. It's jazz.
So it's like
front of house engineers are a special kind of people. I feel like, you know, you get up there and you have a great show as a band collectively, and then you see the person after and they're like, that was okay. And then
what happened up there, boys?
You feel like you have a terrible show and they say sounds amazing out there. But you know.
Oh, dude, we were just talking about that. There's always that. You walk off stage, you're like, dude, hell yeah. Like everyone's pumped. And then front of house comes in and he's like, oh man, it sounded like shit out there. And you're like,
worst show you've ever played.
And then you have the worst show ever. And he's like,
worst show ever.
Ripped. And you're like, are you kidding?
Yeah, it's usually the case.
Finding a front of house guy that's like pretty stoked and positive, I feel like does affect a lot. And I know it's such a funny dynamic because obviously you can't hear it, right? And we're all like based on the room and your ears and your mix. And that's usually what determines a good show for us. Obviously, you walk off stage and you're like, if your ears are fucked up, it's a bummer show, whatever it is, frequency. But I will say, like, the front of house guy, I don't think he realizes how much like power he has over the band, because when he comes in the back of the green room,
oh, they know.
and if he's pumped, then like even if it was a rough show, you're like, all that matters is that it sounded good out front, you know. But our front of house guy right now gets pumped, which is so
same.
Almost, I don't know if he's ever had a show where he's like, yeah, it was a rough. He'll always just be like, or he'll be more pumped than we are, which I think is cool, and it gets us excited about the next show. You know what I mean? He's like, fuck yeah, boys! Like he's just so stoked. You're like, oh
dude.
yeah, let's go.
Our guy is great, man. He pumps us up, and he's like, but it's definitely true. There's times where I'm like, I feel like I played like shit, and he'll come back and be like, dude, the drums sounded insane.
Yeah.
Like that was the best show of the tour, you know?
Yeah.
Last night, he was just like, dude, because my show, dude, this is the first time, I'll admit it, this is the first time this happened to me in a long time. There's like something slightly just off a little bit last night with whatever. Dude, I straight up launched a stick. I have not dropped a stick in so long. And I'm not trying to be cocky, but like, I've just figured it out. I used to drop sticks a good amount, you know, just whatever, being too hard, not caring. But dude, I did this fill. My like rack tom was a little too close, and I knew it the whole thing, and I just launched it. And I was like, God damn, like, you know, I had to grab. And you know, I think in the grand scheme, maybe like 2 people probably saw it or noticed or whatever. You know, it's like such a fast part. And so I was like, damn, kind of got in my head a little bit about whatever. And then got off stage, and he was like, I gotta find a video. Your drum sounded so sick. He was just so pumped. And I was like, all right, dude, hell yeah. Like, it just makes you feel better. You know, you're like, all right, next year will be cool too.
Do you ever drop sticks, Connor?
Not often, but it happens sometimes.
It's
I feel like there's an art to the recovery too that I don't think
back
this
in the day
far
I
in.
would have panicked.
Yeah, I think I still suck at it. If I drop a stick, I panic, dude.
So you
like, dude, I talked about it at a show. I talked about it a few episodes back when we had a show in Nashville, and we were opening for Pink. And first song in, I think like 5 seconds in, I drop a stick, and dude, it was like one of the worst stick drops of my life. Because I couldn't find a stick
out there.
I couldn't find a stick. No, I mean, I'm an idiot. Sometimes I don't like have. I just
Ben's
don't.
That cocky. He's like,
dude,
I don't even that sticks out, dude.
You
I
don't confident. I have like 7 sticks around me. Like
I'm surrounded by sticks.
I got
I'm literally
on my back too, like the Ninja Turtles, dude. I got them back here. I got them,
dude. That's actually so sick. It'd be so sick if you did that, dude.
Dude, just stick it out like.
No, what I'm saying is, I had to like. It was after that, I was like, all right, I gotta figure this out, because dude, I had to like bend over. It was like a fast song too. I just stopped playing. I was like, this is so bad. I was like, and it's so funny too. Is in Nashville, so like some homies were out, and I was just like, cool. 5 seconds into like the first song, I was like,
also the golden rule too, dude. Everyone. That's why I never want y'all to come to my shows. I'm like, y'all be there, and I'll just have the worst show. I'm like, dude,
no
one knows either. Like I have this thing that I came up with years ago, and it's like 3 levels of mistakes on stage, and it's like level 1 being only you know, and that's 90% of the, like, you dropping a stick last night.
So true, dude. I literally asked the band, and they're like, I didn't hear it. And I was like, even the band didn't notice. I was just like, that's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. And then level 2 is your band knows.
Okay.
And then level 3 is the crowd knows. Dude, for the crowd. Okay. I'm about to. This is. I should probably shouldn't say this.
Dude, this
the crowd is not that
smart,
intelligent. Yeah, like they don't.
Yeah, dude. The customer's level of knowledge of what's going on stage is very low. They don't. Customers now.
They're just there to have a good time. You know, they're not.
They don't care if you drop the stick. Yeah, they're not even watching. It's
very rare you have a fan in the audience nitpicking everything you do.
That's the other thing is I'm like, first of all, I'm the drummer, so reality check. No one fucking cares what you're doing.
It's so funny.
Right? And then like the second thing is like I'm behind a bunch of fucking haze and lights that are
fire. Yeah.
People are on the verge of having a seizure out there from the lights. They don't care.
It's so true. It's
like
but it feels so important to you.
Yeah. Oh, it feels so important. I look at my kit. Sometimes you go out on the floor of the venue, like and look at the stage, and I'm like looking at my kit, and I'm like, dude,
no one can see me.
I'm like, those controlled sounds on the bottom of my toms look sick. And then I'm like, no one fucking cares, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Or I'm like, I'll literally think about it for days. I'm like, should I do a smooth white reso head or an ebony reso head? It doesn't matter, dude.
It really does.
I really hope that's what your internal voice sounds like too. Should I use?
That's so sick.
That is what it sounds like. Yeah.
Dude, on this tour, I had the idea, a great idea. I was like, yo, let's change up our stage setup and like make it different. So I'm playing on this like 6 foot, not 6 foot high, 6 foot diameter round riser. So
that'd be
really
crazy. So small, dude.
So my drums barely fit on it, like barely. Whole band.
It looks like you're playing on a Lazy Susan.
They're like, dude, you're gonna fall off, and I'm like, I love this. I want people to be stressed that I'm gonna fall out. Like the whole show, I want people to be like, dude, his throne is like 2 inches from the edge.
Dude.
But we also pushed me closer. The whole idea was like a small footprint, so I could be closer. And then I like turned sideways, so I'm the most exposed I've ever been on any tour. And I was like, why did I do this? Everyone could see me.
Dude, people get blasted by cymbals too.
I give people like a better chance to see if I fuck up. I'm like, why didn't I just stay in the back and just do my thing? So like now they are watching and they can see my foot.
Yeah.
They can see they're like watching my kick foot. I'm like, oh man,
big mistake.
I gotta be on it. I know.
I'm gonna stay away from the front of the stage, dude.
Tomorrow, I'm like, guys, a new artistic direction. I think I should go back to the middle.
Yeah.
Like,
and my back will be turned to the audience.
I'm going to play backwards.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh man.
Wait, so it sounds like you're very like you have a good attitude about playing shows, and then if you mess up, you shake it off. But like, what is your measurement of a good show?
Probably just like feeling good up there, like mentally. So a few years ago,
what do you do to prepare? Sorry to interrupt. Like, what's your process before getting on stage?
Man, a lot of stretching and just like try to be relaxed. Because if I go up there like hyped up, it doesn't feel good. So I just try to.
Same.
It's a lot of stretching. I don't really warm up on like a pad or anything because I haven't found that it does any. Dude, I don't think it does anything for me.
It don't do anything, dude.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
stretching's important.
So just a ton of stretching.
Stretch.
Yeah. I do a lot of stretching, and then I just honestly like probably 20 minutes before we play, just breathing, like not like I'm just like sitting and like meditating, but just like I'm just like kind of walking around and just like making sure I'm like actually deep breathing and just being relaxed. And just remembering that, like,
we've talked about this before, like you forget how to breathe when you're playing on stage. Sometimes you just
like hold your breath on fills and stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about with Riley. Remember, we were like,
that's right.
Like he exhales during drum fills. Like that's.
But then he started to stress me out because I'm like, God, I've never thought about my breathing on stage except. So he's like, and then I exhale during a fill. I'm like, dude, if I had to like think about that, I'd probably do it backwards somehow.
Dude, I posted a video a few days ago of me playing on Instagram, and dude, if you look at me breathing, it's the most insane shit I've ever seen in my life. No, I was when I was playing with Manchester, but
I watched
it's like I just ran like 25 miles. I'm like doing that. It's just like I'm like, dude, I was like, I look like that on stage. I was like, no,
oh my
dude.
God. Ben, you look so sick, dude. I watched that video.
Dude, sometimes
Yeah, I
not
watched it
though.
a few times. It was a
I
sick video.
watched that video and then I was like, I think I'm doing everything wrong.
It's the same thing when I watch Connor's videos.
No, I look like a psycho, dude. If you look at the there's like these drum cams of me, and the comments are all accusing me of doing cocaine because I have like I go like this. For you guys can see, no one else can see the video, right?
I know.
Yeah, no one can see the video.
Okay, good.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
but
not
thing.
you do
It's
that.
like-
You'll do like a grimace.
It's like
Dude,
it's like a crazy underbite and my jaw, and like there's all these comments, and people are like, "Oh, I know that jaw movement. That
That
guy's
just
on
gapped
coke."
down,
oh
dude.
my God, I know that job movement.
Hey,
Dude, I do the same thing. I see pictures of myself. I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm doing the same thing. It's like the craziest movement with your mouth and stuff. You're just like, look terrifying.
Dude, I look like sometimes I'll do this thing where I look like I'm talking like to myself on stage, and I probably same thing. I probably look like I'm a psychopath.
You're
I'm
just,
like,
dude, we should get a mic on Ben and only me. It's like,
you do that.
You
do that.
I do do
that. That's so
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah. We all
Oh,
do it.
dude.
And then you see photos of yourself on stage, you look awful, or like Nate always looks cool on
Oh
like
my
any
God,
photos I
that's
see
true.
of Nate look
Yeah,
here's the
awesome.
thing.
but-
You could,
like
no matter how
100.
cool you look, dude, no matter how cool you look, if you don't read the comments, dude, because
Oh, yeah.
even if you're like, I crushed this thing, and like everyone is just like shitting on you,
Yeah.
you're just like,
Yeah.
Who cares? A bunch of fucking keyboard warriors sitting at home. All the customers don't know what's cool.
customers. I like you keep going customers.
Yeah, I
dude.
started that on this tour. It's my new favorite thing. I'm like, dude,
Oh.
the customers look like they had a fun time.
Well, dude, Connor, the thing you were saying earlier, though. So you were talking about like messing up, and like I've gotten better at it too. Where like I used to mess up and it would ruin the show for me. It would like the show would be out. I'd
Yeah,
be like, this
downhill
sucks,
from there,
you know? But you're saying that you're not like that. You can like kind of just like get past.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff,
I really
right?
don't care. Like I care.
No, but dude, this is
You know what I
good.
mean?
God,
Funny.
but that's like
You know,
wisdom,
good.
man. That's
No,
like
and
from,
it-
yeah, it
that's
is.
from
Really,
doing
it
reps
doesn't.
and like
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
It's like not to be all like hippie about it, but it's really true. It's how I feel about almost everything in life now. It's like nothing actually matters. Like almost nothing
Yeah.
actually matters. And I really feel that way on stage. Like it's like, listen, if I go into the wrong part of a song or something and like the song falls apart, that's okay. I care about that.
Yeah, bummer.
That doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
sure.
That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. That's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Right.
Like you're
Yeah,
prepared. Like it's,
Yeah.
and so like little flubs and things, it's like, even if it's bad enough that people in the crowd notice it, who cares? Like,
yeah.
Here's
Dude,
the
it's
thing, man.
true, man.
there's so much about doing this as a job that is incredibly difficult and challenging. And like, that if you can't go up there and like have a good time, I don't want to, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
That's great. That's a
and
great
so-
way to look at it.
Yeah, and it doesn't always work out that way. There's nights where you don't feel like doing it, and then there's like the weird guilty feeling of that where you're like, man, like
so many
everyone's
people kill to be in my spot. Yeah,
totally, but it's like relativity, man. It's like
yeah.
everything is relative, and it becomes there's days where you're dealing with shit and you don't want to do it, but for the most part, it's like I try to just go up there relaxed and just have a good time, and
That's awesome.
we as a band have gotten to a point where it like we kind of have that mindset collectively, and
That's cool.
you know what I mean? So it's like,
it's important.
Yeah, and like you said, be prepared, know your shit, like do a good job, do the best you can. I think if you are doing the best you can, and there's those moments, it's fine. And I think it's cool for us to talk about this because there's going to be drummers that listen where, you like perfection's impossible anyway. You know what I mean? So I think there is that thing of like, it's got to be this way. But like at the end of the day, when you think about it is a job, you do want to be professional. You want to do the best you can, but like you're playing music, you know what I mean? Like people are there to like release something and have a good time and feel good. So it's like, if you let something ruin it or it turns into like, let's be honest, we're all doing this because like we don't want to have like some like an intense corporate thing or whatever. But I feel like the music side of it is supposed to still be fun and feel like people can like go there and enjoy themselves and connect. So I do think that's cool to say that out loud for people that are listening that are like, dude, I gotta be perfect all the time. And if one thing's wrong, then I gotta like go back to the drawing board and blah, blah, blah. It's like, mistakes happen, but if you're prepared and you do a good job, that's all you can do,
Yeah. And I think people can tell, like, I think people in the audience can tell when you're having a good time up there, or if you look like you don't want to be there, which is like the most unattractive thing. Like if I go to a show, and which I've experienced it from the audience as well, where it's like I go to a show and I'm like, okay, like they're playing in Jacksonville tonight and it's apparent that they don't want to fucking be here.
It's a bummer.
It's a bummer. It is a bummer. And so I think when you have the mindset of like, hey, let's try to go up there and have a good time, it also takes the thing out of like, it takes out the element somewhat of, oh, this is a big show, let's absolutely destroy. I don't like that feeling, because it doesn't always go that way. Like there's so many factors at play that have nothing to do with how many people are in the room that influence how you're going to play and how it's going to sound and how you guys are all going to feel up there, to where like I can't just focus on like, oh, let's absolutely, kill it tonight because it's the biggest show of the tour. It's like, I can't control that. Maybe that's going to end up being our worst performance of the tour. Nothing to do with the fact that there's that many people. Maybe the ears are having an issue that night. Maybe. So I can't, and sometimes the best shows are the ones that you don't think are going to be the best shows,
God, that's so true.
But there's also like a freedom to just like what you're saying, letting go and just being like, dude, there's things out of my control that I just can't control. So like, why worry about, some of these things and let it get to me and eat at me?
Totally. And it's like I view it as one of the big like benefits of doing this for a living is like, it's really not a serious thing. So like, imagine if you're a brain surgeon, you can't go into work, I'm going to do my best. It's like, no, you know what I mean? Like you got to kind of do a good job every time,
You can't really be like, I messed up that Phil.
I fucked up that guy's brain. Sorry. It's like, you can't, but it's like it's music, man. It's like, who cares? Like go up there and have fun. And honestly, I think it's like more memorable when something weird happens or something. Like I like those shows because it's like maybe in the moment it's a little stressful, but then those are the ones you remember. And then sometimes I'll meet people who were at a show where a certain thing happened, and they'll be like,
they remember forever.
This was and I'm like, oh, that's actually cool that you like picked up on that, and you also thought like you thought it was funny or you thought it was interesting. Because
people like seeing humanity playing out on stage. Like no one remembers the perfect show you played,
No, hell no.
And what's funny is when you go to a show, like from the customer standpoint, you'll go watch a show and be like, I never think about it. Like something can happen or whatever, and like, the time in between songs. But when you're on stage, that stuff feels so like, so much bigger. Like there'll be parts of the song or like in between songs where I'm like, all right, like start to click, and it feels like an eternity to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, it took forever between that song and the next song. But then from the front, no one's like, oh my gosh, that was like a pretty long break in between songs. Like you don't even think about that stuff. But when you're on stage, you're like, all right, we got to move that. We got to make sure this is quicker and the transition's faster because, it felt like an eternity up there. But in reality, it was like 5 seconds or something. You know what I mean? But it feels like such a big thing. So that's why I think it's important to still go to shows when you can and see that side of it and be like, I don't know if I ever walked as a custy, you got to be able to go to shows.
A custy. Are you pretty like adamant about, because you're flexible about shows and all that. You have a really healthy attitude. We all know that now, but
he's always been that way though. That's the thing.
That's rad.
Ever since I've known him, like, because me and you have had conversations like this, like before,
personally,
personally, like for you. I mean, because I've known Connor for a while, like for a long time now, but
9 years, almost 10 years.
You've always been that way, and it's cool.
That's commendable.
I know exactly.
I mean, to your point, like what we're doing doesn't matter really. Like we're on stage, we're having fun. People are there to have a good time and hear you play, and they're not judging every little thing you're doing. And then obviously a brain surgeon is much more important in what they need to do. So
what's funny too about that, Ben, is like the majority of the time that Ben and I have spent together, is when we both lived in Nashville, we had a mutual friend named Jade who has a big, he has like a 4-acre farm out there, and he has this crazy setup. It used to be in his basement, but now it's like he has like a barn on his property. Mm-hmm. And we would go there. It would be like 10 of us would be hanging out there, all like 3 drummers, somebody playing keys, somebody playing. And it was literally nonsense that we were playing. And it was just like, everyone was just having a good time, just having fun playing music. And it was kind of like, not to be corny, but like it kind of is like I think in my adult life, it's the closest I've felt to how I felt playing music as like a 12-year-old.
That's cool.
It's just kind of like,
that's amazing.
Oh, and it's like we were just having fun, and nobody because even if I invite someone over to my house to jam, like there shouldn't be any pressure in that situation. It shouldn't be like a tense thing. People can make it that way, even though like some people don't really. Yeah, it doesn't matter what scenario they're in. Like some people don't like everything is like dramatic and has big importance behind it, and it's like. So
we're just chilling, dude.
Yeah. So even though it seems like a given, at least to me, it seems like a given. Like, we're playing at our friend's barn. Why would we care? Still, it was really cool that everyone had the same attitude of just like, we're just having fun, man. And
that's sick.
That's how I try to look at it pretty much anytime I'm playing, because otherwise, what's the point, man? Like, I don't really want, like, I don't want to be away from home for 6 months a year if I'm not absolutely loving playing. It's I don't want to do that.
You got to find that, because like you said, it's like, it is a job. People paid money. I think about that a lot, and there is weight to that in a good way, or does it make you like don't give a shit or sloppy or whatever? Because I do think it's like, it is a job to like, do the best. Yeah, it's like
the Cuspies.
You don't want to get bad reviews on Yelp, so you want to put out a good show. But I do
imagine your band has Yelp.
I mean, they pretty much is a comment section of Instagram, dude.
That's true.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It's like, do your best, but I'm fully with you. It's like being away from family and my kids and stuff. It's like, if I'm like miserable out here and I'm away doing like, it's my job, it's like I might as well go get another job where it pays me way more, and I'd still have to, what I mean? I don't know. It's just, there's a balance in that for sure. And I really think it's cool that you're at this level and you're saying that. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that. The fact that it's, you picture a certain thing and you go to your show, you're like, dude, the show is so dialed and professional and so sick. But hearing that you're not like treating it like some scary like thing, it's like, dude, we're having fun, we're playing music, and people should be stoked on that,
I think that's the key to playing well too, is like it's kind of almost a catch-22 in that, like, you want to play really well, obviously, like you said, like I do care that I am aware that people paid a bunch of money, and like it's something that they've been maybe looking forward to for a long time, and it's something that they really care about, and I want to make sure that everyone enjoys it and has a good time, and that we do our part, right? However, when you stop thinking about that and take the pressure off yourself, that's when you do it the best, right? So it's like, so true, and that applies to like almost everything, man. When you take all the stress and pressure off of it, like I feel the same way about like working out or something. It's like when I tell myself like, you have to do this or you're a piece of garbage, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
When I'm like, for sure, I'll just go out there and do a couple reps, and then you end up getting a good workout in, and it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of the same mindset,
I mean, not to keep talking about it, but like what you've realized, or your attitude, some people after a whole career, like a decade's doing this, don't get to that point. So I think it's really neat that I'm assuming you're younger than us. At your age, that's a very mature way to look at it. So I think it's awesome. Should we talk about your drum setup?
Yeah,
sure.
I did. I was going to ask you, what do you play? Yeah, like what? I mean, I'm curious to what you play with Beartooth, and then if you're home, like how different of a setup do you do? Like obviously you mentioned like double pedal and stuff, but like what do you set up for Beartooth? Like how many cymbals? Like I'm just curious about all that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of grown to like kind of a lot of stuff for me, at least.
Yeah.
So my setup with Beartooth, so I play Gretsch drums, and I'm a Gretsch diehard.
Nice.
To an annoying degree, but it's just 1 up, 2 down. So 13, 16, 18, 24, usually a 14, 6.5, some kind of heavy metal shell snare drum. I've got like a ride boomed out over the kick, 2 crashes, and then a China, and then like a third crash all the way to the right. So it's not that much stuff, but
that's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, and all the crashes are the same. They're all just 20-inch A custom crashes. Because
cool.
That's the other thing too that I think is funny. Like, so I'm a big gear guy, but I also like there's so many situations where I'm like, really doesn't matter. Like in this kind of music, it's like it's just there's no one cares. Like
sound.
you don't need to tune
cymbals.
You don't need to tune your rap tom to a note. Like
no.
It's just a thud out there, you know. So
I'm like, 100%.
I just need the only reason the third crash is there is because like when I wind up finishing a fill on the 18,
you need
I
something to help see out.
Yeah, I don't need it to sound any different. So it's funny. The reason I mentioned that is because like sometimes there's people, you know how people are on the internet. Sometimes there's people in the comments. Well, why do you use 3 of the same crashes? It's like, well, who cares? Like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
It's like
why not?
It makes the sound.
I was in the crowd and there was no tonal difference between any of your 3 crashes.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I just need a third spot to hit
sound
a loud cymbal.
I got a question for you. It's a debate that we have. 22, 24. What do you have a favorite? Do you like a 24 or is there like
kick, right?
Kick drum.
22 sounds better, I think. Like, okay, Desert Island, I'm going 22. But if I use a 22 on stage with Beartooth, I feel like I'm going to launch it into the crowd. I just can't. I can't play live with a 22.
That's funny.
I've tried it, I just can't.
I've been 26, 24 my whole life. Like, I'd swap between it. And this is the first tour I played at 22. And I felt that. I'm like, dude, this thing is tiny. I'm going to send this, especially on that tiny ass riser. But dude, 22 feels and sounds. It's like, I don't know if I'll ever go back. I'm like, dude, this feels and sounds so sick.
Yeah. I think 22 by 14 is the best sounding kick drum money can buy. But I play 24-16 with Beartooth. I go back and forth between 24-16 and 24-14. But again, it's just this thing where I'm hitting the drums so hard when I'm on stage with them that it feels like, you know how drums kind of max out at a certain point. It's like if I kick a 22 the way that I kick that drum on stage with Beartooth, it's just I'm hitting it harder than it wants to be hit. And then same thing with that with the extra depth. That's why I like having 24-16 up there on stage because again, it just feels like I can give it a little more gas, like without the drum kind of giving out.
Yeah, people don't realize that the drums do have a threshold of like being choked or like being hit, I guess, too hard.
You can hit them too hard.
Yeah, you can.
What about you? Okay, what's everyone else's answer?
For what?
For the kick drum
22, 24?
Yeah.
22 for me.
I mean, I was big kick drums. Like, that was like part of my personality growing up. Like, my whole career was like, big kick drums. It was like,
giant.
People make jokes all the time. Like, you go into some drum shop and there's like one of those like 28 or whatever. Like, hey, here's your kick drum. Like, that was just that was like the big joke. Is like however big my kick drum is. Yeah. So I did 26, the 14 Ludwig for like 10 years of my life. And then switching to, but I think you're right. Like Desert Island, I'm like 22, man. Like you just sounds so good. It's punchy. It's like, it's all of the things, But I also have a 24 that I'd probably like bring back on tour. Like I like both, but I don't know if I'd ever go back to a 26. It's, if you think about how big the drum is and where your beater's hitting, it's like at the bottom, it's like, and I'm so much tighter with 22 or 24. Like I realized that I'm like, oh shit, I could have been doing this my whole life, you know what I mean? But I was like, no,
it feels better.
Drums,
it's easier to play. Yeah. I also I feel like we all come from kind of the same general, like big shallow kick drum, whatever, crazy custom drum era, whatever. Like
we were that,
yeah. Big kick drums were always part of that for me, and then I took it too far for sure. So like I was touring with 24s for years. I was touring with 24s for years, and then I went to order a kit, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do I'm going to do bottom sizes. So I'm going to do 14, 16, 18, 26. Right. And then I was like, dude, and then I was like, wait a second. What if I did 14? I don't like admitting this, but I think I just wanted something that people would go, what size is that? Like I just wanted
100%. That's part of it. Like, dude,
I wanted to go
huge.
Yeah, there's an element of that.
Yeah. So I did 14, 18, 20 with a 26.
Holy shit, dude.
And people will be like,
floor.
Yeah. And then
what size is that?
And then I got what I wanted, right? So people are like, is that a floor tom or a kick drum? But then, you know, me being an 18-year-old douchebag, probably, I was like, you know, someone asks that, and then all of a sudden I'm annoyed. But like everyone asking the question, you know, is that a floor tom or a kick drum?
Dude, it's just a 20-inch floor tom. Shut up.
It's a floor tom.
Leave me alone.
It's like you asked.
How did it
You're
sound?
the one that ordered it.
It backfired.
Did it just sounded bad? Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
No shocker.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what I learned. So I was using Emperors on the drums, right? And here's what I learned, that if you when you buy a drum head that is in the size that like crosses over that, like an 18, right? There's 18-inch bass drums and there's 18-inch floor toms.
Yeah.
When you buy the head, there actually are different heads specific for a kick drum or specific for a floor tom. You know what I mean? So the collar is like different.
Yeah.
No, so I had to use wood hoops on that drum, which sucked.
Oh shit!
So they're like in the way, you know. They're like really
Wait, what
high
company
off the
was
drum.
this?
It was Truth.
What were the drums?
It was Truth.
Okay.
Truth.
They were
Holy shit!
they
I didn't know you
were
played
great.
Truth.
It was a great kit. They were good. The 14, 18, 26 was killer. The 20 was great too. It was just a dumb thing to order, you know. But it was made. You know, the drums were all made really well. But it was just like, oh, I should have just done 14, 16, 18, 26. But anyway, the main point being the 26 was like pretty difficult to
get air through.
It was an unhinged era of custom drum.
I mean,
some of those kits.
The Truth kit is 26 by 24.
Dude, 26 by 24.
Wow. Yes, yeah, I think
so
that
bad,
era
dude.
was just about pushing the limits. That's really what it was.
It was about people being like, oh my God. Like, and that's what the same thing I do all of it. 24-inch ride, 2B sticks, anything that I could play that made people be like, oh, I was like, oh, it's so cool.
I used a 24 for so long. And then like one day I heard a front of house mix and I was like, that's what it sounds like. Holy shit. And it's like, not that they
I gotta
can't
switch it up.
Yeah, like not that they can't sound good, but like I'm playing the Beartooth stuff. Some of it's so fast. It's like you really don't need to be crashing a 24-inch ride for this section.
It's just It's
like, so now I use a 21 sweet ride. My setup now is like
21.
Yeah, dude. And I use 5Bs. I used to use like giant drumsticks, and then I hurt my arms. And dude, it's not
you
fun.
Just break stuff. You're like, why am I so tired? You're like, maybe if I didn't play logs for drumsticks, I'd play better.
Yeah.
True.
Wait, so 21's crazy. I went to a 22 recently and I like it. It's nice.
Yeah. I would do 22.
So you do 22 and 20s?
21 and 20s. Ben, what do you do?
Yeah, 21.
21. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's doing 21 20s. Yeah. What is it? A sweet ride or what?
Sweet ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're Gret, Zildjian, what's in Remo, and then what sticks do you play?
Vic Firth.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. All the classics.
I had no idea that you were playing the same crash cymbals all around. I love that.
Yeah, that's honestly another one that I think part of why I do it is because it's funny. It's also like
it's like Keith Moon. Keith Moon did the same thing.
Did he?
Yeah, he also was known for having the same size rack tom, three in a row.
Whoa.
It's just the same size.
Really?
And then he would play double kick drum. He would not play a double kick. He would just hit them both at the same time, the same part. So like,
what?
He was just so he basically would
like
just be doing this.
Just like goot goot.
Yeah.
Dude,
so,
how the hell do you not
even like double bass?
How do you not flam?
I mean, he was
like,
obviously a maniac.
He's on the hi-hat though.
He doesn't have a hi-hat.
There's periods where he doesn't even touch the hi-hat.
I guess that's true.
There's periods where he didn't have one.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right.
That is so
psycho.
sick.
Yeah,
that is.
You know, he's doing the same thing we are, though. He's like, oh, watch this. Everyone's going to talk about that. I don't have hi-hat. Like, he's doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Decades
but he would
later.
also he would also, I recently last week, I like kind of did a deep dive and he would fill for like an entire song basically.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Like there was just, it was
dude, there's three guys from that time that it's just like, dude, it's just, they're just playing whatever they want over literally phenomenal guitar players. Okay,
who's on your list?
It's Keith Moon.
Yeah.
Just I'm not a huge
Unhinged.
I'm not a huge Keith Moon fan just because I'm like, the songs are so good, and sometimes I'm like,
yeah,
damn, dude, like I can't. Yeah,
Still out.
Mitch Mitchell, who played for Jimi Hendrix,
sick.
He's same style. He's kind of filling like the whole time, and then Ginger Baker with Cream.
Nice.
Same thing, man. It's just like
fills,
and it's really it's a style, and it's super cool.
It's almost tribal. It's like especially Ginger, because he would do a lot of that Tom stuff where
and then so it's like sometimes I'm like, okay, I kind of wish they'd stop playing so many fills, but then there's other times where it's like, man, this unique style is like really like if you listen to Sunshine of Your Love or Sunshine of My Love, whatever the song's called, like that Tom groove, like what you're saying, it's like almost like tribal, and it's like there's no one else that would have played that on that song.
Done that.
So
that's cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
The other thing about playing 3 of the same crashes that's nice, that like no one would think about, but like anybody that tours can appreciate this, is like whenever I order cymbals for tour, I don't have to worry about like, am I going to crack more of the left crash or the right?
Yeah,
I'm just
put it out there.
That is a good point.
It's nice.
It's like a cartoon.
That's
they wear the
smart.
same clothes every episode. You know, it's like it's the same thing. You know, it's like
And
like the Simpsons.
You're right,
uniform.
because
Yeah.
I never really cared about the same crash. So this is funny because if I play like a heavier ride, I don't ever with Amberlin, I don't ever really use it as an actual ride. I'm crashing on it, so I don't even play a ride anymore. I have all crashes.
Yeah.
I don't play an actual ride because I'm like, because the rides, so it's hard to. It's almost like when you try and find the right ride for that, you're basically playing a crash. Like, I need the thinnest ride ever. I'm like, I might as well just play a crash. So it's like, yeah, I play 2 of the same exact crashes and then just one other one. And I think that's because I honestly might switch to all the same. Just now that you've said that, I'm like, dude, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? It's like when I'm over on the right one, it's like a little bit drier, and I'm like, no one cares. You know what I mean? Like nobody even hears the difference.
Dude, to recap and just like put a bow on it, I feel like everyone listening, nothing matters. Nothing
don't take
matters.
yourself too seriously.
None of us are important. No one cares.
Yeah.
Just try to have fun while you're here, man. Just try to have fun.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Connor, thanks for coming on, man.
Dude, yeah,
really nice.
Thank you guys
so much.
If you're ever in Tampa,
so much fun.
Hit Nate and I up. We'll hang with you
for sure.
We'll do, man. We'll do. Ben, we got to get you back in Florida, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It might happen sooner than later, honestly. Yeah.
Let's do it, baby.
You never know.